Welcome to the Healthpreneur podcast. My name is Julien, New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and founder of Healthpreneur, the world's leading company helping health and fitness experts start and scale high-end coaching businesses. If you want to attract more clients, learn how to convert them without feeling salesy, and deliver an amazing program for them on the back end, if you want to be inspired by what others just like you have gone through and how you can do the same no matter what life throws your way, then you are in the right place, because every single week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to be bringing you the best to help you take your knowledge and expertise to the next level with your health or fitness coaching business. And if you enjoy what you see and hear and would like to take your business to the next level, then I invite you to check out our free online training over at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. And for now, let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, what's going on? Yuri here, special edition of the Healthpreneur podcast. If you're watching this on video, if you're live watching me within the Facebook group, then you'll notice that I'm carrying a little guy on my chest here. It's not a Joey, I'm not a kangaroo. This is my newest little guy. His name is Julien, and he is just 2 days old as of this recording. Super excited to introduce you guys to this little munchkin. And in this episode, if you're listening on the podcast, well, then you're going to want to watch the video on YouTube on the replay. But in this episode, I want to share 3 important life lessons that I've already learned from this little guy who's only 2 days old. And if you hear some little, baby sounds in the background, that'll be him. So right now, he is not quite sleeping. He just had some food, just had his breakfast. And now he's kind of just chilling out. So hopefully he's okay for the episode with us. So he was born on, I can't even remember the date. So it's June 3rd at 1:22 p.m. Super, super awesome birth. We had him at home. It's our 3rd boy that we've had at home. He's our 4th boy. So our previous 2 we had at home in a pool birth. So my wife was amazing, as she always is, and cranked him out in like an hour. It was just beautiful. So he comes out, and the funny story about this is that a lot of people ask us, like, was this planned? Was it a mistake? It's never a mistake, right? But it was planned. So we have 3 boys. Our youngest one is 5 years old, so there's a bit of a gap. And we decided we want to have another one about 1.5 years ago, because we had these really interesting messages from different sources about this girl hanging around in the ethers. And we're like, okay, let's give it a go, right? We talked about it, asked the kids, and we felt we were ready for another one to kind of explore that opportunity. So the whole time we didn't want to know in terms of an ultrasound exactly if it was a boy or a girl, but we just knew intuitively that it was going to be a girl. So when he popped out a couple of days ago and I saw his stuff, I was like, oh my God, it's a boy. It's another boy. We are producing a soccer team apparently, and that's our mission here. So anyways, it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. What we wanted was obviously a really healthy baby. Either way, he's going to be amazing. So this is, if you can see this little guy, let me see if I can bring him on the camera. There he is. Julien Gabriel Elkame. That's his name. And thank you to Luca, our middle son, for giving us the idea of Julien as a name, because we were kind of lost for the first day or so. And it was kind of funny too, because we're looking to book some flights. We're going to be traveling for half the year next year. And we're looking to book some flights to Australia right now. And I can't even book the flights because we didn't even know his name. So I was like, well, we got to figure out the name, and then obviously we can book the flights. Anyways, that's just a little bit of a background about what's been happening over the last couple of days. And with that said, I want to segue into 3 lessons that this little guy has taught me or really reminded me of. So number 1 is, if you're watching this in the Facebook group, I'm going to be posting more of these podcast episodes live as Facebook Live videos inside the Facebook group. If you're watching this as a replay on YouTube, totally cool. And if you're listening to this on the podcast on iTunes or SoundCloud or anywhere else, then by all means continue doing so. And if you want to join us inside the Facebook group, then go to healthpreneurgroup.com/tribe. If you want to listen to the iTunes version, just subscribe to the podcast, healthpreneurgroup.com/iTunes. Okay, so just a couple housekeeping things. So now let's get into the three things. So number one is don't ask for things to get easier. Look to get better. So a lot of, it's funny because I'll walk, previous to this little guy, I would walk my 2 dogs and 3 boys down the street. We go for a bike ride, scooter ride, and anyone who would walk by would be like, wow, you've got your hands full. I was like, I guess, no big deal. And when we had a 4th, I had a lot of friends who were like, dude, like, are you like, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Like, do you enjoy adding friction to your life? And I said, listen, I don't know if you call it friction or a challenge or an opportunity for growth, but for me, I don't know if it's almost like a challenge in my life to add things to my plate because I enjoy the growth that comes from that. So having 3 kids, 2 dogs, running a business, 2 multiple 7-figure companies from home, being able to travel, multiple times a year with our family, by myself, whatever, it requires some degree of growth there. And I really think that if you're a single person or don't have kids, life is a lot easier. Like, it's so much less friction. And to do things like get up and go or go to a restaurant or a movie or travel is so much easier without kids. So not to say that, life is easy in general without kids, but it's more challenging with kids. And I guess that's the contract that I signed up for when I came into this planet. And I'm super grateful that I have, because I've learned so much and grown so much as a parent and as an entrepreneur as a result of having kids. For instance, I don't mess around with actually, that's not true. I kind of still do mess around with my time. I'm not as productive as I still could be considering this, right? So my kids go to school 9 till 3. So that's my work time. I get up at about 5 in the morning, do my morning routine. I do about an hour and a half of work. Then I'm with the kids. I walk them to school. Then my day is about 4 to 5 hours of work. And then I'm done. 3 o'clock, it's all done. And had I not had kids, I'd probably be wasting a lot more of my time. And the same goes for all of us. Like, if you really look at your calendar and your schedule, you're wasting way more time than you probably should be, right? So, we decided to add a 4th to the mix. Like this guy, like, I love this guy. He's so cute. It's unbelievable. And I think my wife and I decided to have another one because at this stage in our lives, I feel like personally for me, as well as my wife, we're at a stage where we can enjoy this a little bit more. When we first started having kids, you've got the first one, you're not really sure how to do it. It's the first kid, and you just try to figure things out. And our kids are so close together. So right now they're 8, 6, and 5. So we always had 2 kids in diapers at the minimum. And now our kids are the ages I just said, and they're really self-sufficient. So this is one of the first times where we have a baby and we actually know what to do. While the other ones are self-sufficient, they can kind of do their thing. Now we can really just kind of soak in the experience and enjoy this a lot more than, maybe the first time around. So it's been a real, I'm really looking forward to this. This has been a lot of fun so far. And as I said, like, don't look for things to get easier, look to get better. So the easier path would be just have less kids, less stuff. And that's one way of living, which is fine. It's a very essentialism way of living. And I'm all for essentialism in terms of stuff. Like, I don't have a lot of material possessions other than my car and my house. Like I wear the same clothes all the time. As much as I love dressing up, like the suits that I have in my closet never get worn. I'm wearing jogging pants and t-shirts or jeans and t-shirts most of the time. So I like adding elements of challenge to my life in an area where I can grow. So I don't like making my business more complex. I like taking the complexity of business and looking at how do we streamline it to make it more simple. In my life, 4 kids, 2 dogs, how do I take that complexity and streamline it to make it more simple, more enjoyable, and so forth? So now we're traveling for 6 months next year with 4 kids. How are we going to streamline that? How are we going to make that enjoyable? How are we going to help facilitate the homeschooling / getting some help in that process so that when we're, in Australia or Italy, wherever we're going to be, it's a lot less chaotic than someone might think on the outside. So that's the first lesson, is always look to get better no matter what it is you do in life, because life doesn't get easier. Don't expect it to get easier. Just do your best to get better. Second lesson is every challenge is a blessing. So I'm not going to say that having a newborn is a challenge, because it's an absolute blessing. But you could also look at it as a new challenge. So you have a baby now. What, like, all right, well, now how do I reorganize my work schedule? How do we facilitate things around the house so that we're only doing things that we want to do instead of, cooking all the time, laundry, etc. So every challenge in life, on the other side of that challenge, is an opportunity. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to learn, to grow, to get better. And this kind of ties in with the first lesson. So when you are in business, for instance, and you are dealing with stuff that you don't want to deal with, just understand that it's not going to last forever, right? Life as well as business happens in seasons. Jim Rohn, an amazing, influential speaker in the world of personal development, he talks about the 4 seasons of business and the 4 seasons of life, right? We got winter, spring, summer, fall. So everyone goes through these 4 seasons. Everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, what level of life you're in. First season, obviously, well, it doesn't matter the order, but let's just say winter. You can't avoid the winter. The winter is, it's the tough months. There's no yield, there's no harvest. Maybe the revenue in your business has dried up, client flow has dried up a little bit, and now you're starting to panic and worry. But what comes after winter every single time, without fail, for the past thousands of recorded years? Spring, right? So spring always follows winter. And spring is a time for planting new seeds. But the key is that springtime is a time to take action and to plant new seeds. Because if you don't plant in the spring, you will be begging in the fall. So you want to plant your seeds in the springtime, right? Think of yourself as a farmer. You're going to plant your crops, whenever spring rolls around, March, April. Summer is next. Summer is where things are starting to cultivate, and they're starting to slowly but surely germinate and come to fruition. And now it's your time to really protect what you have seeded. It is your time to systemize and make things better, to optimize the growth of what it is you've planted. And then finally in the fall is when you reap your harvest. It's when you reap what you have sown in the spring. And if you want more, then you have to have planted more in the springtime. And part of the beauty that Jim Rohn talks about in the fall is being able to reap without complaint if things don't go well, and reap without justification if things go really well. So if you have a huge windfall of cash or a huge windfall in your business, like a big win, there's no reason to justify that. You don't have to explain why things are so good. It's just enjoy it. And on the flip side, if things don't work out as you wanted them to, you can't complain about that, right? Because you have to understand that if you are fully responsible for the results in your life, it's your fault, right? Good or bad. So when you take ownership of that and you look back over the past couple of months, well, what did I do to plant enough seeds to reap the rewards in the fall? And if you really, really look at this, if you've wanted to host an event, I've hosted dozens of events. And if I'm really honest with myself, the only reason they don't have more people is because I don't want more people. Or number 2, I don't want to plant enough seeds. Like, I don't really enjoy the constant, endless promotion. So I've built a business now that doesn't require me to do that. But if I really wanted to say I'm going to have an event with 1,000 people and let's say 500 people show up, guess whose fault it is? It's my fault. I could have done more. I could have promoted more. I could have reached out to more people, etc. So that's the first thing, is taking responsibility for your results, because they are 100% your responsibility. Just like this little guy, right? He's my responsibility. I planted the seed in my wife. Like, seriously, that's, if you think about it, I planted the seed, right? And her summertime was protecting the womb, the baby that was starting to germinate inside of her. And now the fall is obviously 2 days ago, which is, he came to fruition, he came out, and now we are reaping this harvest, right? So it's just kind of an analogy anatomically, I guess. But just understand that no matter how challenging things are in your business, they will get better. And no matter how good things are in your business, they will get worse as well. If you come to terms with that and understand the flow of life and the cycle of life, you'll sleep better at night. Okay, last year alone in my business, we had 6 Facebook ad accounts shut down. Now, if you know our business, 95% of our revenue comes from Facebook ads, right? So for those of you who say Facebook ads don't work, well, they do. You just don't know how to work them. When you have them dialed in, it's an unbelievable thing. So 6 ad accounts got shut down. I'm traveling at this time, and it's super stressful. But I also had in the back of in my mind, I'm like, this is going to work out. It's all going to work out for the best. And I knew we had to make this happen because Facebook is such a huge platform that we can't just ignore it and say, okay, you know what? We're not going to run Facebook ads anymore. We're just going to blog, right? And try that game, which is not a lot of fun. So on the flip side of those challenges, we learned some important lessons. And most importantly, once we got things set up again properly, not that they weren't done properly ahead of time, but we just basically had a media buyer do all of our media buying now, our business really exploded. So every challenge, once you get through that challenge, is a huge opportunity for growth. So don't look at the challenge as, oh my God, my life is over, and live in worry and self-doubt and fear, because that doesn't serve you. You have to go from the challenge, take that challenge, and go from worry and fear to resourceful. Okay, if you don't have resources, you have to get resourceful. If you have fear, if you've got worry, you have to take that energy and put it into action, because that's the only way you're going to dig yourself out of that hole. So that second lesson is every challenge is a blessing. So just acknowledge it, appreciate it, thank the universe or God for this opportunity for you to grow and learn and get better, because you will, and the opportunities will come on the flip side of it. Third lesson is learn from your mistakes. So I see this a lot of time. Like, listen, we've helped a lot of clients in the health and fitness space, and there are thousands more who we've not been able to help because they've let fear stand in the way of their dream. So what I mean by that is learning from your mistakes means if something isn't working, stop doing it. Okay, don't continue doing things that aren't working, because that's the definition of insanity according to some people. What we want to think about is successful people are willing to step up to the plate and strike out more often. That's the only reason that I'm here. That's the only reason that we are now the industry leading coaching and training company that thousands of health, fitness, and wellness experts flock to help them grow their businesses. The only reason is because I'm still standing, is I'm still here. I didn't give up when things were tough. And obviously we've got an amazing product that really helps people in their businesses. But there's a lot of lessons that I learned from mistakes in this journey, from the mistakes of building a multiple 7-figure business since 2006. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt in that business, I made maybe 1,000 times more mistakes than wins. But instead of crying the blues and saying, okay, this didn't work, I'm going to stop doing this internet thing doesn't work, you just get back up and you try something different. And it doesn't have to be a completely new thing, but just maybe a small tweak, a small pivot. All right, this offer didn't work. Maybe was it the headline? Was it the price? Was it whatever? Right? You have an idea what you think is great, but your first idea is usually not the best one. So just understanding that and being like, okay, cool, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. Let me learn, let me grow, let me get some mentorship, right? So learning from your mistakes is important, because if you look at mistakes as opportunities for growth, I think the theme of this episode is growth, like, to be very honest with you. That's why I love being an entrepreneur. That's why I love being a father, is that these are two endeavors that really allow us to grow. And I think for most growth-oriented individuals, these are, real amazing opportunities. So if you're a growth-oriented individual, then you look at mistakes not as failures, but as learnings. Some people say sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. I think you learn when you win. I think you also learn when you don't win. And if you take that mentality and just move through life with, okay, well, this didn't work out in the way I had hoped. What did I learn from this? Knowing what I know now, what would I do differently in the future? What wisdom can I impart on others who are also going through this journey? And when you take that mentality, that mindset, you're more likely to move forward fast, because you understand that the more mistakes you make, the more no's you hear, the sooner you're going to get to the yeses and the big wins. But the challenge is that so many people are afraid of not being perfect that they don't even start. They're taking the baseball bat and they want to go up to home plate to hit the home run. That's the vision. They want to hit the home run. But they're not willing to step up to the plate and strike out. And that's why most people just don't do anything in their business. What if this doesn't work? What if I swing and miss the ball? Oh my God, end of the world, right? What if I invest this money and it goes to waste? Well, that's a really, really bad way of thinking about things. Let's look at 2 examples. When we work with our clients, part of what we help them build out is their perfect client pipeline, which again relies on Facebook ads to drive clients into their business. By the way, shout out to Paulina, one of our clients, who deployed her pipeline last week. She spent $394 on Facebook ads. She enrolled 2 clients and made $7,900. From Tuesday, she deployed. By Sunday, she had made $7,900 on a $394 ad spend. That is friggin' amazing. Susan, another one of our clients, she joined our program 4 months ago. That same day, like literally the same day she enrolled with us, her daughter's house burned down to the ground. Now, she could have made all the excuses in the world and pulled out and said, listen, there's too much stuff going on in my life. She didn't. She committed to what she kept her word. She committed to the process. And just the other week, she enrolled 2 clients. And I believe her clients were worth about $3,500 each, $7,000 right there on a couple $100 ad spend. And this is a lady who's I believe she's in her mid-50s, maybe late 50s. I apologize, Susan, if I don't know her exact age, but I won't divulge it anyways. Not technically savvy, has no following online, but she did what she had to do. She got the support. She worked the strategy. And her first week deployed, she made $7,000. That's amazing, right? That's why I love doing what I do. But the challenge that really bothers me is there are so many people out there who let fear stand in their way of stepping up to the plate because they think to themselves, well, what if I spend money on Facebook ads and I don't get anything back? Well, you will get something back. Either you'll get clients and revenue or you'll get data. You'll get data of what is and isn't working. And if you look at that as a loss, maybe you're just not cut out in business because the reality is you're paying Facebook for data. You're saying, I'm going to give you $1,000. I want you to tell me what's working and what isn't. And that's priceless. And hopefully in that $1,000, you're obviously making some revenue. So don't look at things as like, what am I going to lose? Right? Don't hold on to stuff like, oh my God, I have this baby, I might lose it, right? Or I have this money, I might lose it. Listen, money is useless until you use it. You're giving money to Facebook for Facebook to give you all the leads and clients you could ever want. It's just how much money are they willing to give to Facebook in return for that. Second thing is, some clients worry about the investment in working with us. And I say, listen, the most expensive thing this is going to cost you is if you don't do this and you struggle for the next months, years, etc. And it's so funny. Actually, this morning I sent a couple emails to some people that were interested in working with us earlier this year. One of them wanted to sell his business. He had to make sure all of his ducks were in a row. Another one knew she was in a job she was miserable in. And it was like a 10 out of 10. She wanted to work with us and her husband talked her off the ledge, right? It's just ridiculous. The stuff that, this is stuff you're going to come up against with your clients as well. And the biggest cost is working by yourself. Whether you work with us or not, I don't care. Listen, the ship has already sailed. If you're on the ship, that's great. We're helping clients. We're making money. We don't really need you, but if we can support you, we're happy to. But the thing is, it's not a matter of whether this will work because we know this works. We know every single time it works. The only time this doesn't work, and when I say this, I mean our process, is when you don't do the work, right? So we have clients like, yeah, show me the social proof. Show me show me someone with 4 kids, no hair, etc., who did this. It's like, well, here you go. And they're like, no, I still want to talk to your clients. Well, listen, that's not how this works because what that tells me is you don't believe in yourself enough to step up to the plate, to have the confidence to say, here comes the ball, I'm going to swing and I'm going to hit it out of the park. And you know what? If I strike out the first 10 times, I'm still going to come back up to the plate and I'm going to hit that ball out of the park. That's the only difference, guys. That's the only difference between those who succeed and those who talk a lot of crap and who don't do anything, right? And listen, I know that everyone is in a very different financial position. But I can promise you, every single time you invest in yourself, your business yourself, you're going to learn, you're going to grow. And if you don't, it is 100% on you. I could tell you stories of people who've come back to us with like, this has gone on in my life, whatever. I'm like, I don't care, right? I just had a baby. Am I going to use that as an excuse not to do a podcast, right? Like there's all sorts of stuff that we can say as an excuse or a reason not to do something. But the thing is, whether it's easy or not, whatever you commit to, just commit to it and do it. And if it works out, that's on you. And if it doesn't work out, that's also on you. And if it doesn't work out the way you want it to, what are the things you can learn from that? And if it does work out the way you want it to, what are the things you can learn from that? And that's what this is all about, is it's not having fear to miss. It's not having fear of striking out. It's having the courage to step up to the plate and understand that, you know what? The likelihood of me hitting a home run is very, very slim. If you think about this, I can't even remember the percentages in baseball, but the hitting percentage, whatever that number is, I used to play a lot of baseball, and I can't even remember the numbers now. The hitting percentage that batters will come up to the plate with, right? This batter's hitting, at 300% or 0.3, whatever the number is. That means that he hits 3 balls out of 10 that he gets on plate. So 10 balls come at him, or 10 at bats. 3 times he's ending up on first, second, third, or a home run. 3 times. And that 300% average is considered really, really good. Very few ball players are hitting 500%. It's usually in the 250 to 350 range, as far as I remember. And so if you're stepping up, and let's say you're taking enrollment calls, and you're 0 for 10, okay, cool, there's a room for improvements. If you're 2 for 10, hey, that's pretty good. Don't expect you to be 9 out of 10. Right? Even the best baseball players are batting 3-4 out of 10 at most. So just give yourself permission to fail. And it's not failure, it's learning. It's learning. That's all it is. And if you have a growth-oriented mindset, then everything is happening for you. Everything. Good and bad. It's never happening to you. You're never a victim. Right? It's not about what happens, it's about what you do with that. And if you have this perspective of, okay, things aren't easy, I'm going to get better. Every challenge is a blessing, and I'm going to learn from my mistakes. That's a really great way to live. So anyways, I hope these lessons have found you well. And, this little guy has been a champ. He's just been hanging out. And yeah, I'm really happy to introduce Julien to you guys and to the world. You'll be seeing more of him as you listen in and watch the podcast. And obviously stay tuned to what we're up to with Healthpreneur. So that's all for today, guys. Listen, if you are ready to step up to the plate, and you want to hit that home run, well, it's going to start with a couple singles and maybe a double, maybe a triple here and there. And there will be some strikeouts. But wouldn't it make sense if you had a batting coach right there beside you to help you get better with every at-bat? Well, that's what me and my team do. And if you want our help to work with you, then just let me know. What we'll do is we'll put a link in the comments. But in the meantime, if you're listening to this on the podcast on iTunes, just go to healthpreneurgroup.com/invite. And we'll just ask you a few questions about your business, where you're at right now, and where you want to go. We'll see if we're a good fit. If we're good, then we can have a quick chat, figure out a game plan for your business. We'll look at where you are right now, where you want to go, what are some of the obstacles that are standing in your way, and we're going to customize a game plan for your business. Okay, we're going to help get more leads, more clients, and we'll craft a game plan to help you hit $10,000 per month within 6 months or less. Okay, that's what we do with our clients, and that's what we can do with you. But you have to be willing to step up to the plate. So again, thanks for joining me. If you want to speak with us, healthpreneurgroup.com/invite. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. So on behalf of Julien and myself, thanks guys. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you soon. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Healthpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, here's what I'd like you to do right now. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Healthpreneur podcast on iTunes. And while you're there, leave us a rating or review. It helps us get in front of more people and change more lives. And if you're ready to start or scale your health or fitness coaching business and want to start getting in front of more people, working with them at a higher level without trading time for money, then I invite you to check out our free 7-figure health business blueprint training. totally free right now, and you can do so at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. For now, thank you so much for joining us. Continue to be great, do great, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.